That's just what we wanted to see. Okay, and we are live, Nish. Very good morning to you, Mr. Jackson. How are you this morning?
That was actually amazing timing.
Yeah, I know. Jackson, he's probably watching on Facebook. He's like, yes, they've gone live. I'm going to come in. How are you? Actually?
I'm very well, thank you. Great job you guys are doing, man. It's so amazing.
Well, it's been really, really nice. I just want to, obviously, the thanks comes from me and from Nish and just everyone helping out and doing this with us. It's been wonderful. Like, I even got messages yesterday of people saying, "Hey, can I share this? What was the link again?" And it's
Wow.
just some people paying a little bit of attention. Like, and from an educator's point of view, there's part of this where we're doing this in terms of sharing for the students, but we're also giving an example for some teachers of things they could try. So I've sent some of the videos from yesterday to about 5 different teachers who want to get involved, normally would have been nervous about doing e-learning. So it's a huge thing. So Gary, you've signed in very early, my friend. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe that's Gary just taunting us again. So Gary, you'll be on at 10 just in case.
Oh, sorry. Hi guys.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, fine. How are you guys?
I'm really good. You know you're on at 10, right?
Yeah, am I a bit early?
Yeah. Well, no, stay with us for Action's part. Action's always like gets us all motivated. Please take part in any workouts that Action invites us to get involved with. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone, and then I'm going to move straight over to Action, buddy.
Good stuff. I'll turn my mic off and look forward to hearing it. Action. Cheers.
Brilliant. See you in a minute, Gary. A very good morning to everyone who's tuned in again for the Free Stream School. I hope you're enjoying the videos on Facebook and on YouTube, etc. We've got nearly 1,500 views now in just a couple of days, which is nice, and it's only because you guys are sharing and watching. The teachers, obviously, they like to know that what they're doing is going somewhere, so thank you very much for that. As we start every morning, we're very, very privileged to have with us the main man, the UK ambassador of happiness, Mr. Action Jackson, and he's going to take us through just some thoughts for the day. Thanks again for coming on, Action. How are you, buddy?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you. As always, I'm excited. First thing in the morning, I get ready, do my meditation, do my workout, and straight to streaming school. So thank you very much for having me today. Well, good morning, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Action Jackson, the UK Ambassador for Happiness. And I've been doing this now for the last 20 years. And my job is very simple, to get you motivated for whatever you want to do in life. And today is Thursday and you're on streaming school. And my job is to get you fired up and motivated. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. And for me, energy is key. Energy is everything. Without energy, the world cannot spin around. Your heart cannot beat. The only thing that has no energy is a rock. It can't move. But there's something interesting about the rock. When you then pick up a rock and throw it, you've used your energy to throw the rock. So life is like that. Where's your energy coming from? And for me, first thing in the morning, I like to pump it up. People say, what's the point? Listen, you don't only have to dance on the weekend. You can dance anytime. So first thing in the morning, I'm in the zone. I am amazing. I am amazing. I am amazing. That's how I pump myself up. You're probably watching thinking, who is this guy? This is someone that wants to be happy. If you want to be happy in life, you've got to control your energy. You've got to control your energy because your energy is everything. Your energy is everything. So as you're about to go into today, ask yourself, is my energy high or is it low? Because you can't receive knowledge if your energy is low. For many of you, remember when you've gone to school and you've stayed up late and you've woke up just in time to get to school, and then you get to school, it's like, I don't even want to hear it from that teacher. I can't be bothered. That's the secret there. The earlier you go to bed, the earlier you wake up, the more energized you are. So very quickly, I'm going to share my screen with you guys to kind of show you the process of how your energy works so that you understand where everything is coming from. Today, I want to motivate you guys to be able to make the most of where you're at and what you need to do. So my name's Action Jackson, as you already know, the UK Ambassador for Happiness. I get the privilege of traveling around to different schools, colleges, and universities throughout the whole country and the world. Abu Dhabi, Dubai, you name it. along with my team, coming into schools to do motivational workshops. And these are some of the things that we teach. Success is key. You can have it. Watch this. You might have seen this before. Your thoughts affect your emotions affect your actions, and your actions affect your results. So you must look after your thoughts. I talked about this yesterday. But let's move one step further. Everything is about trying. When you try, you might fail. When you fail, you're supposed to learn from your failure, then move on and repeat. Failure is beautiful because you learn more about yourself. Now, you're going to get a lot of knockbacks. That's why you need a lot of energy, okay? Watch this. Yesterday, I spoke about the 10 steps towards building your success. Try again, try once more, try a little differently, try again tomorrow, try and ask for help, try to find someone who's done it, try to determine what's not working, try to determine what is working, just keep trying. That's the aim. But today I want to zone into how you can begin to take your energy to another level. And here are 3 ways to make it happen for yourself. Number 1, know your why. Why do you want to be educated? Why do you want to pass your exams in the future? Why do you want to be the best version of yourself? Because if you don't have a why, then there's no point. We can give you all the resources that you need, but if you don't know why you want what you want, it's pointless. Why am I doing this? I have a goal to reach as many young people as possible, and this is the drive. I believe I've been put on this planet to help people be happier. That's my why. For some of you, you want to make your family proud. For some of you, you want to make yourself proud. For some of you, someone told you that you're not good enough. Maybe that's your why. You need to identify why you do what you do. Once you know why you do what you do, that's your energy. That's your power. That's your focus. Secondly, I want you to do is this: assemble your team. I know we're on a lockdown, we can't go out, but you can assemble your team on FaceTime. Get 3 of your friends on FaceTime and say, listen, guys, what's our why and what's our goal for this lockdown? I can't keep doing silly dances on TikTok and watching all the Netflix. I need to get into the zone. Assemble people who are driven, who want to be successful. Because here's the truth. After this lockdown, a percentage of students would have lost their capacity to be resilient because they're not constantly in the routine of learning and focus. So you need to assemble it. And then finally, you work like a beast. Set yourself a goal. If you say 2 hours a day, we're going to go in hard on learning and working, so be it. So be it. That's my bit for you today. Know your why. Assemble your team. Work like a beast. Know your why. Assemble your team. Work like a beast. Know your why. Assemble your team. Work like a beast. Aye. What's your why? Who's your team? Work like a beast. What's your why? Who's your team? What's your why? Who's your team? What's your why? Who's your team? My name's Action Jackson. Whatever you do, think about who's in your team, so you could just lose it for success. Let me just go into a moment for me right now. I'm just feeling this right now. Hey, what's your why? Have a think. Have a think. Hey, what's your why? Is it negative and you want to turn it into a positive? Whatever you do, know your why. Who's going to be your team? Who's going to be your team? Whatever you do, push yourself to the next level. What? Listen, I'm not going to bring you into my little rave moment right there. That's how I get myself up. So my team here, my teammates here at Streaming School, they fire me up, man. They make this happen, and we keep working together. So whatever you do today, please, make sure you stay focused. As I pass you over to Gary, who's going to take you to another level, stay focused, know your why, assemble your team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Axon. Always a pleasure to hear you. I think a lot of adults need to actually get listening to you in the morning as well. I think even just sharing those first 10 minutes is going to get a lot of people focused. Thank you so much for joining us as well. With the items that you're saying as well, Jackson, like, do you have, because we're putting up links and everything, do you have like a routine that you recommend to people, or a something mantra that you may give out that maybe we can put up in the links for some people watching? I know 2 of my friends who've been watching, they would love to have a little more information on you. Where can we find out more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so I live on Twitter, Action Jackson on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram. I do a lot on Instagram, Action Jackson Live. I'm about to even go live on YouTube right now, an hour of motivating the nation on how to be problem solvers. So Action Jackson Live on Instagram, Action Jackson on Twitter. Come and visit me, come send me a DM, and I'll send you all the resources I have to get you motivated.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Action. Look after yourself, buddy.
Take care.
So God bless.
Thanks a lot.
It's always fun starting with that, isn't it, Nish?
Love it.
Yeah, like you can't just like, you know, everyone's watching me just kind of bob my head forward and backward. I just stop that one for a while. But yeah, I just I welcome you in, Gary. A very good morning to you, Mr. Orbin. This Nish always feels like that moment where you're swapping between the stations. Like it's that part, Gary, where the newsreader's just going, oh yes, you're coming through. Good morning. We are here. It's outside.
A little difficulty.
Yeah. How are you, buddy? How's your morning going?
Very well, thank you so far. The children are awake and happily running around in the sunshine in our car park outside our flat. Wouldn't change a thing. All as well, thanks.
Wonderful.
How are you?
Yeah, really well. Nish and I were reviewing some of the stuff from yesterday, and yeah, we both really enjoyed your lesson, didn't we, Nish?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Love that it was off your phone.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, well,
I called Gary up afterwards, Nish, to tell him, I was like, you just taught the whole lesson off your phone. You did 3 different things off your phone. You've changed the game. And Gary was just like, okay, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Also a very untechy guy, so really it is, if I can do it, then anyone can do it.
Right, Gary, it's just rolling up to 10 o'clock, so it's all yours. Thank you very much, as everybody, and yeah, really looking forward to learning again from you today.
It's an absolute pleasure. I shall just turn my camera on and we'll get going. Can I just confirm you can see me and hear me?
Yeah, I can see you. You're coming through clear.
Good stuff. Okay, thanks. So this is lesson 2. So some of you may have listened in and watched in yesterday when we talked about writing about acting with a focus on your physical skills. If you didn't, my name is Gary Albin. I'm a drama teacher in a secondary school in London. I've been teaching for about 13 years. So I range of exam boards, and I hope that there is something useful in what we're doing, whether you're in year 9 thinking about GCSE, or even up to year 12 having done it, or somewhere in the middle. So I hope you find this useful, and please do share comments and things if you like the sessions done at all differently. So today we're going to talk about writing about acting. So it's hard to develop you as actors without being in front of you and giving instant feedback to your acting. But it is possible. But what is definitely possible is to feedback about how you write about acting, how you get through exams, pieces of coursework, and get all those marks that are available for writing about acting. On the EduCast course that I teach, what's the percentage? Is it about 70%, I think, is what you write. Now, you might agree or disagree with that, but that's what we're in. I know that examples try and prove drama is an academic discipline. So for it to continue to GCSE, if that's what we need to do, then we will. We're going to make sure we can write really, really well about this thing called acting. Okay, so I'm now going to do this thing called presenting my screen, which should be nice and smooth. This is the second time I've done it. Start the broadcast. And please, a little thumbs up from Leon, or verbal thumbs up.
All good. Yeah, it's going across. We get to see the delightful children.
My little children there, and off we go. Okay, so writing about acting with a focus on vocal skills today. Okay, so what you do with your voice. So just 10 seconds of quiet, please, for you to be thinking, what are those skills that you have that you can use with your voice that you might talk about in an exam? 10 seconds, please. Okay, so I came up with my list. It's not totally exhaustive, but we'll see what I've got. So pace, pause, pitch, accent, volume, tone, articulation. Okay, let's have a look at some of those. So pace. So pace, of course, how quickly you talk, and we can think actually, what does that show with pace? Well, it can show a character's mood, can't it? If they're talking very, very quickly, it can suggest panic, or it can suggest excitement. If a character is talking very, very slowly, it can suggest lethargy, lack of energy, tiredness, or it can suggest reluctance, that they're hesitant, they don't quite want to do something. I think what you'll notice about some of this, the content I'm going through here, is that the things are very, very straightforward. They're things you do as an actor without even thinking about it. And part of training you to write really well as a GCSE drama student is just understanding how to break down the simple, analyze it, and make it sound academically sound. So, pace, am I speaking quickly or slowly? But more importantly, what does that suggest about the character that I'm playing? Pause. Okay, similarly, that power of silence. You may have been seen a play before that your classmates have been doing, a scene or something, or you've done it yourself, where when you're nervous or when they're nervous, you feel every silence. You talk, you go straight from your line to their line, your line to their line, because the silences on stage can be quite scary. So the power of silence. And then when you're writing about acting, you should be talking about the power of pause and silence and thinking, okay, why am I pausing before saying this line? Well, maybe it's such an important line that I want the audience just to have a little beat, a little pause of hearing it, just to make sure their focus is on it a little more. Or maybe I know that my character really doesn't want to say this line. They know that it's going to upset another character. So they just pause for a moment of, should I say it or shouldn't I? So the power of pause there. And if you're writing about vocal skills, pause is certainly one, although there's no voice there, certainly relevant to those vocal skills. Pitch being the next one. Okay, am I speaking in a high pitch or in a low pitch? And then again, what does that suggest about my character? And that's, we might think that a low pitch is associated traditionally with power, with authority, with asserting yourself. Now, you might think that's a bit problematic, and actually that's about gender and stereotypes and men being seen perhaps as more powerful historically, or, it's problematic. But you could write about how actually to show my character authority as a man or a woman, I'm going to speak in a lower voice, or to show a bit of fear, speak in a bit of a higher and more quivering voice, perhaps. Okay, so we've gone through pace, pause, and pitch so far. Accent. Okay, when you're playing a character, do you use the accent from where it is? Now, as just forgetting about exams for a second, I've seen hundreds of students put on accents. When they're amazing, it really makes the piece. When they're terrible, you can't think about anything except the accent they're doing. So as an actor, it's really worth thinking, if I do this accent and I don't quite pull it off, it's all people will be able to think about. They'll forget about the other elements of my performance. But if I do it well, great. But then thinking about acting, about writing about acting, well, if you think about the play Blood Brothers, you can talk about accents there, if you know Blood Brothers, and if not, don't worry. But there's a character in it, which is Mrs. Johnston, who's working class, and then another character, Mrs. Lyons, who's middle or upper class. So the working class character, you'd suggest would have a thick Liverpudlian accent. It's set in Liverpool. A thick Liverpudlian accent. And what would that suggest? Well, it suggests that she's got a strong working class background. So you're not just thinking, I'd play this accent, because that sounds quite fun, but what does it suggest there about the character? Volume, okay, there's nothing difficult in terms of these concepts either. They're all very straightforward. You can be loud, you can be quiet. Both, as an actor, you can project either way. And the best actors can project or whisper, of course. But you're then thinking, what does it show? And the sort of most obvious thing is that the louder you are, the more dominant you are as a character. And then to get those higher grades, you might think about what's the subtlety involved there. Actually, if someone needs to shout, it shows that they've lost a bit of their composure. And if you think about your teachers, the best teachers can probably control a class with a whisper. And the teachers who are shouting at the whole class, actually the ones who've lost a bit of control perhaps there. So it's not necessarily only that the louder you are, the more dominant you are. You could also talk about shouting, showing that a character has lost their composure. They are no longer in control. And tone of voice, this little boy here. What emotion are you trying to show? Tone is really about emotion. What emotion are you trying to convey? So you can answer that thing with saying, well, in an angry tone. So, I would say this line, in an angry tone. And that's okay, that wouldn't be incorrect. But you could break that down then using the other terms we've looked at. So what is an angry tone? Well, it involves a fast pace, perhaps. It involves a lowering of the pitch, perhaps. And it will often involve a loud volume. So you're using that tone to then think about what other terms can I look at within tone. And then articulation. Are you speaking clearly or not? And can you say something about a character's state of mind, their mood, their class background, or their desire to impress those around them based on how clearly they're articulating
Transitions coming across, Gary,
to an
we always
audience.
like to know.
So, beg your pardon.
Transitions coming across. Just so I know you like to know when the transition's moving from one form to another. Yeah,
There you
we're
go.
back with your lovely
I just
face.
thought I'd bring me back for a moment. I don't mind that. So, we've just talked about 6 things there. Vocal skills as an actor. Now, clearly, these things don't operate in isolation, do you? As an actor, you don't think only about your pitch. That works with the pace of what you're talking about as well, for example. So, the best students who write about acting can write both about those things individually, but then also how they work together. So, for example, how does volume work with pitch? You're trying to intimidate other characters on stage. You might be loud, and you also might lower your voice. So you can talk about how these things exist on their own, but also how they work together. Likewise, if your character is nervous on stage, well, you might be playing them with a nervous sort of tone of voice, which might involve being a bit shaky and stuttering slightly. But then also you'll think about pause, about the amount of seconds you count in your head before you say that line, because you're nervous about what you're about to say. And finally, how might accent work with articulation to show the socioeconomic status of a character's working class, for example? So if a character, as we talked about Mrs. Johnson, didn't we, in Blood Brothers? So if she's from a working class background, so she's got a thick accent, and perhaps she doesn't articulate her words so much, against Mrs. Lyons, who's from a much posher background, she would articulate every sound to show the sort of education she's come from, and she would have a received pronunciation accent, an RP accent, speaking like the Queen, to show that difference in character, in status, and in background between Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Lyons, for example. So let's see if I could smoothly go back these slides again. I think it's a 3, 2, 1, we'll be back in. And
yep,
there we go. Thank you. Back to these slides. And so we'll now just look at how these can be applied to exam questions. Of course, you need to pass exams if you want to go on to study more and more in drama. So potential exam questions. When playing the role of whoever, how would you use your vocal skills to communicate the character's intentions to an audience? Okay, how do you use your vocal skills to communicate the character's intentions to an audience? I.e., what does your character want? And then you're thinking, okay, well, I've got my list here. I've got your list here of things. Which ones would you choose to focus on? All right. But of course, that's not the first thing you do. The first thing you do, let me just change that. Sorry, beg your pardon. The first thing you do is think about, what are my character's intentions? Okay, so you go back to the title again. Before I go into detail about which vocal skills, you go, what are my character's intentions? Okay. Another example question: when playing the role of whoever, how do you use your vocal skills to show the status of the character in this extract? And then you think, okay, well, which ones would I be most likely to choose if we're talking about status? Well, I think status being high or low. Well, what about looking at articulation, for example? So I'm going to circle that one there. We talked about accent, didn't we, and how that can show status. So I'm going to use accent as well. I'm going to speak with a received pronunciation accent. I'm going to articulate all my words very carefully. And to show status, a high status could be a fast pace or a slow. I'm going to focus on pace. I would talk more about slow, because if someone's got a very high status, they don't need to worry about boring their audience, do they? They don't need to worry about holding people's attention, because they've got such a high status. They know everyone will listen to them, so they can really afford to slow down when they are talking. So how those 3 things work together to show a high status be a great way to answer that question there. Okay. Yesterday we talked about DNA, so you might know the play, or you might have listened in yesterday. Forgive me if so. I'll just read this synopsis that we went through yesterday just one more time. So this is a play called DNA by Dennis Kelly. When a group of teenagers' bullying of another student goes too far, they are left with an unplanned death, Adam, on their conscience. The mixed-up group panic but cover up their involvement in Adam's death. However, when they realise their deception has worked and actually brings peace to their confused lives, how do they move forwards? Okay, so group of teenagers having a bit of a laugh and a joke at someone's expense. He ends up being killed by it. They panic, but actually things seem better for them, or they seem a bit happier. So then, do they continue to cover it up, or do they come clean? That's the play that I'll talk about, but if you don't know it, that shouldn't hold us back at all. Okay, so One character is called John Tate. Okay, I'll show you a script extract in just a moment from where John Tate is in it. He's telling two of the characters to stop talking about this boy, Adam, who they believe is dead. Okay, and he tried to actually ban them using the word dead, really trying to control the group. So a few little facts in case you don't know the play or the extract. John Tate is the leader of the group. He's trying to keep everyone under control. He intimidates others, but he's also unsure of his actions. So he's not got total conviction. He's not totally convinced that what he's doing is the right thing. Okay, so my question to you is, playing this character, how would you do that in a way that uses vocal skills to get his intentions across and to show its status? Okay, in fact, let me just fast forward there to the question. When playing the role of John Tate, how would you use your vocal skills to show the status of the character in this extract? Okay, so let's have a little look at this extract. Okay, we're focusing on John Tate. So another character, Richard, says he's dead, and John Tate says, right, now I really am getting a little bit cross. Do not use that word. Richard said, John Tate says, no one use that word. Okay, no one. What word? This is mad, eh? John Tate says, you know. He says, talk about mad. I mean, it's quite exciting as well, though, isn't it? Richard says, what, dead? And John Tate says, don't say it again, Richard, or I'm gonna, okay, it's better than ordinary life. What? And then John Tate says, I'm gonna hurt you, actually. Richard, you're gonna hurt me? John Tate, yes. Richard, me? John Tate, yes, if you use that word. Okay, so that's the extract that you get in your exam. And you get this question. When playing the role of John Tate, how would you use your vocal skills to show the status of the character in this extract? Okay, so remember, the first thing we need to do is work out what the status of the character is in this extract. We don't rush into going, I'm going to speak at a faster pace. You stop, you think, what actually is my answer to the question at the most basic level? So I said here, has a high status, and he's trying to increase his status further through this extract. So I haven't just given a sort of grade 4 or 5 answer going, his status is high, which is correct in this extract. I've tried to make it a little bit more complex by going, he's trying to increase the status further through the extract. Okay, I then need to think about which of these three I'm going to focus on. Okay, there you go. So which of these three do I want to write about? I'm not going to write about all 6 or 7. I haven't got time. Okay, so I'm going to pick 3, and let's say we focus on pause. Let's talk about pause. We'll talk about volume, and then we'll also talk about tone. And I'm going to talk about each of those individually, and then my brief mention as well how they'd work together to show the high status here. So I've gone with, not very clearly there, but pause, volume, and tone. Okay, let's start with volume then. So what do I do with the volume of my voice throughout this extract? And it's not rocket science what I'm writing here. Each of those 3 lines where it says I'm gonna gets a bit louder each time. Okay, it's a very simple observation. But you're not looking for rocket science here. You're looking for, what do I do? Why do I do it? So it's to show his increasing attempts to control the group through intimidation. So let's get back to the script a second here, and you'll see there are 3 times that he says I'm gonna. Zoom in a little bit there, and he goes, don't say it again, Richard, or I'm gonna, better than ordinary life, what? I'm gonna, what? I'm gonna, he's actually got a 4th in there, hasn't he? So each of those, I'm suggesting, gets a bit louder. Okay? And that's his attempt to control the group. And I've shown that to the examiner that I understand his character, I understand the scene, and I've made a decision about how I would act that. Okay, next up, pause. Okay, so I would have a lengthy silence before the first time he says yes, to show his momentary uncertainty before he makes the threat to hurt Richard. So just help him to bring this script to life a bit, turn it from something on a piece of paper to something that's on a stage. And I'm not told there's a pause there. I'm inserting my own one, and that's absolutely fine to go above and beyond the stage directions you need to as an actor or as a director. So when he says, bring the script up here, and he says yes, at the bottom here, he says yes. So you'll see, hurt me. I've got to read this one here. You're going to hurt me? And he says, yes, but I'm going to pause there. If it says beat, by the way, beat is another word for a short pause, but I'm not focusing on that one. Richard says, "You're going to hurt me." I want John Tate just to pause for a couple of seconds, and then yes, just to show that like he doesn't really want to make this violent, but he's willing to. And he has that thought process go through his head before he says it. Okay, fairly simple observation, shows that I've really thought about how to bring this scene to life, and to show that little bit of doubt in John Tate's mind. Okay, where are we next? Tone. Okay, so I'm going to change the tone during John Tate's first line from frustration to anger. Okay, so it starts during his first line, go from frustration to anger, bring the script back up. His first line here is right now. Now I really am getting a little bit cross. Do not use that word. Okay, so early on, I'm going to be quite frustrated when I'm saying, right, but now I really am getting. I think the thing there at top line should be frustration. And then we jump down to anger here on a little bit cross. Do not use that word. Okay, so it's going to go from frustration to anger. And that's really relevant to tone of voice. And that's my 3 examples there. Volume, pause, and tone. And this might be a sort of 8-mark question. That might be about 10 minutes. And I'd be hoping that you could write about those 3 things in about 10 minutes if you know the abstract well and you know your vocal skills really well. Leon, I check in with you here. How are we doing for time, sir?
Yeah, we've literally come to, it's just about to click into 20 past. But if you want to go on with something, Gary, by all means. But if you're done for the day, by all means, whatever suits you, buddy.
Well, then we'll carry on. Next week, dissecting a little bit more how you write beautifully structured paragraph about drama, how you apply English PEE, and take that structure and about drama really nicely. So the slides I've got here will be very relevant to next week. There is a sample PEE paragraph for writing about essay skills with extract, but we can go through more in our next lesson. There's a couple of links here. One is the characters in DNA, it's the same one as was up yesterday. And then if you want to watch the first 10 minutes of the production of DNA that I talked about yesterday, so you can see the extract that I've recommended or that I've talked about here. What does that look like in a professional production? And then if you'd like to do an essay task here, and then 4 vocal skills an actor can use on stage for 4 marks, and I really hope, if nothing else, you've been able to take that from today. And then as an actor playing John Tate, and if you want to watch that video to help you, it's actually played by a woman. She's wearing a black cardigan and a red top. As an actor playing John Tate, how do you use your vocal skills to communicate the character's intentions to an audience? So we've worked together this morning on an essay question around status, but you could do one here around characters' intentions if you wish to, for 8 marks there. So I'll stop presenting here. Okay, and turn the camera back on. And that's us for the day. So I hope the students found that really useful, and I look forward to any feedback from students or from yourself, Leon, that can come through. And I look forward to teaching a couple more lessons next week if you'll have me.
You're a gentleman. Thank you so much, Gary. Really looking forward to those lessons. And yeah, thanks again for your time and for your expertise. And yeah, just remember when the schools are back up and running, this is going to be used much, much more. But I just got a message through that 300 people were watching on different devices for your session. So yeah, you're doing something right, buddy.
300, that's wonderful.
Well, yeah. Sweet. Well, strange but true.
Good stuff.
I'm surprised too, Gary. I'm the most surprised. I'm the most surprised, buddy.
Yeah, me too. All right.
Have a great day, buddy.
All that, and even, that's been coming back from yesterday as well. That's the real winner.
Yeah.
200 yesterday, 0 today.
Thank you so much, buddy. Have a great day with the family.
All right.
Thanks. Enjoy the Easter weekend.
Well done. Bye.
God bless you, buddy. Bye. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yeah. Slowly but surely, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
I really, it's funny because you're thinking about like how the lessons are put together and watching that, and you just think, how would it be different in a class? Where would you be stopping in a class? Where would the students be involved in a class? And because obviously it's a big learning journey for us. And we're thinking a couple of weeks, how we'd refine it, what we do. I mean, we've already got fancier PowerPoints, haven't we?
Well, start somewhere.
Yeah, we do. Right, I'll lead into you, my dear, and then we'll lead into the. Just tell me when you want to show your PowerPoint.
Right, perfect. It is up. It's ready.
All right, brilliant. Please take us through.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep, coming through loud. Oh, sorry, something crystal clear. Loud and clear would be weird for a quiet PowerPoint.
Right, cool. So this is the optional task for drama. So yeah, if you can, I'll put the links up on Facebook and YouTube. If you can, rewatch. It was the first 10 minutes, but from the 6 minute to 7 minute 30 seconds of the production DNA. And there are 2 questions that he's left to answer. The first is name 4 vocal skills an actor can use on stage. And the second is, as an actor playing John Tate, how would you use your vocal skills to communicate the character's intentions to the audience?
Yeah, brilliant. And he said that would be, he said he'd expect people to take about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And what, you know, we've actually got an extra lesson today, Nish. We've actually got a 4th lesson.
Is it Spanish?
Yeah, Spanish. So what's coming up for the rest of the day?
Interesting. So we actually do, if I can come off and show you.
That's the one. Give us Thursday or Friday or Tuesday.
I know.
Send us into the future again.
Just someday. Again. Oh, come on. It's taken a while, but we'll get there. All right. So our next session is going to be drama when you can PE when you can see it.
Wonderful. And then
it's
science.
Science. I know it's going to be science.
It's crazy. Like, out of all the technology we're trying to use, the one thing that's not working is a Google Slides presentation. So
yep.
Bananas.
And then I'm assuming after that will be Spanish.
Wonderful. Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. Thank you so much again for your help. And you're putting everything up on the different platforms that we use, right?
Yeah.
So guys, just to give that, obviously the teachers do the teaching, but then all the hard work, all the real work to actually get it to you is done by this wonderful lady, Nisha, who's in charge of a lot of our production. She looks after the quality of our videos in our regular day jobs, etc. So yeah, big thank you to you, Nisha, for sticking with it and obviously putting up with me every day as well, my dear.
I enjoy it. I love it.
All right, brilliant. So we'll end the stream here for today, and then we will go back to we'll see you in about 15 or so minutes for the next session, which should be another PE lesson.